Internet is slow today. So, okay, internet slow. So hopefully you guys can see this and hear this. So I figured it out because last night I was in bed early, had some dreams, some weird dreams, but nothing I really could remember. Hey, Krista. And then I'm looking at my Facebook, and there are people that I've been deleting off that were on my protocol, and then they decided to go to Dr. Klinghardt. They decide to go to other protocols like the cold therapy, hydrotherapy protocols. And so I've been slowly releasing people off my Facebook because I don't want to see that kind of like that stab in the back, because these things cost money out there, and then they're not even helping the body, really. They're just, destroying your voice, the symptoms, okay? So we know that pain is healing. We know that symptoms is your body letting you know that it's trying to repair issues. Antibodies are being created, which is causing inflammation, and then the body is trying to repair itself, right? And so then last night I went on to an anti-vax page, and people are saying, well, why is it that some people get autism and reactions from vaccines and others don't? And of course, I'm always saying, well, if you've been exposed to the pathogen already, you're not going to have that crazy reaction, that upset of homeostasis and those major amount of antibodies being created because of that new pathogen. No, when a person gets a vaccine, regardless if they've been exposed to it or not, the body already has a continuous, almost like a leak of antibodies created. And this is also happening with the A and B blood types, along with the Rh factor, positive or negative. So if you're AB and you're also positive, A or B, as well as positive, you have antigen. When you have continuous amounts of antigen in your body, you are creating antibodies. Those antibodies are attacking the pathogens. Okay? They're attacking pathogens. That's what their job is, right? Is to attack the pathogen. That's the whole point of the vaccines, or being exposed to a pathogen, right? The body creates antibodies and attacks it, and then it's supposed to then chill out and then let the body repair the damage. Oh no, this is what is not going on. So now you have these mutations that the body has not reversed, it has not corrected. So essentially, you did not induce autophagy in the right way. Autophagy is the disassembling of the mutated pathogenic cells, right? Because mutations are directly correlated with pathogens that caused the malfunction in that cell and that cell transcription, which is why you have these weird behaviors and weird looking population, very diverse. So when you have a continuous amount of mutations in your body, such as A and B positive blood type, you are continuously creating antibodies. And when you continuously create antibodies, guess what? The body is going to attack itself. But that's all relative to how severe your mutations are. Some people have mutations in their pancreas. And so the body is continuously creating antibodies, and it's attacking it because it's like, there's this foreign object, this mutation, these pathogens, let's say you do have like a cancer or some kind of mutation in one of your systems, or you have rotting teeth. Okay, that's a continuous amount of pathogens in your mouth that you have not purged out. So guess what the body is doing? Continuously creating antibodies to the point of where then autoimmunity, where the body attacks itself, then triggers, because it can only create so many antibodies to attack pathogens before it then finally attacks the body. Do you see how that works? And some people have more mutations in their mouth, and then they get like mouth cancer and other types of mouth issues, right? Some people have more mutations in their neurological, and they could have been, hey, or the nervous system, but it could have been passed down from a, from a prior generation that was never corrected. It could have been exposure to the vaccines. I mean, there's so many factors that contribute to people's biochemistries being totally off, to where there's like breast cancer, say breast cancer, which is something that's passed down, or, diabetes, right? So these are continuous mutations that have not been corrected. And in turn, the body's creating so many antibodies against that mutation. And then, yes, over time, that's when autoimmunity triggers. And that's why 40-year-olds who have not corrected those mutations, who maybe were drug addicts in their earlier life, alcoholics, drug addicts, have a really, horrible history, have parents who are severely mutated. That is why then they contract autoimmunity later on in life, because a body finally, okay, now it's like it can only do so much to go after those pathogens, which has kept you, symptom free. And then finally, there is nothing left to go after, but there's still something, there's still that alarm bell. So then these antibodies are then going after whatever is available. And since you do have that mutation, let's say in your nerves, that's when the antibodies go after and attack. So, and I was looking at the American Cancer Society and the cancer vaccine, and they're taking their own DNA. So when they're creating a cancer vaccine for your prostate cancer, they actually take your own blood, they look for that pathogen, and they put some kind of like, whatever mixture in there, and then they inject you with it, right? And so then that mixture then creates antibodies and goes after the prostate cancer. But then you also have your own DNA too. So that your own DNA attached to that pathogen is now getting attacked as well. So over time, I could see eventually there's going to be some prostate issues. What they're trying to do now is they're trying to catch everybody early. Oh, you have this mutation in your prostate, so we're going to inject you with your own DNA to go after those cancer cells. And of course, the numbers, they're going to find numbers. They're going to find that pathogen in your body, and you may only have like they may only have like maybe, let's say, 20 pathogens. And so the computer model that tests for that shows that there's like 20 pathogens, 20 cancer pathogens. And so then they're like, okay, well, we're going to take, those pathogens and put them in a vaccine with other adjuvants, whatever, to then energize your immune system. And then we're going to inject you. And so then what happens, right, is those antibodies get created against that specific pathogen. It goes and attacks it. But now you have this stuff swimming in your body. Now you have this antigen that's swimming in your body, continuously causing antibodies. And so eventually, over time, since you haven't fixed those mutated cells, because that initial exposure to cause you to have that prostate cancer hasn't been fixed, hasn't been purged, and you're still mutated, guess what? The antibodies still kept getting created until finally the body then, then you have this autoimmunity. You're welcome, Jacqueline Silk. So that's why not everybody gets autism or autoimmune, disorders from vaccines, because the vaccines only compound the issue. And relative to how far gone you are, and that's why I keep saying, you could have a very severely mutated person that's going to succumb from those vaccines, because the body can only handle so much attacks on its immune system with those antibodies. And then you have a relatively healthy person getting a vaccine, and they have enough nutrition, enough, health, enough enough immune system to fight that off and not go into autoimmunity or a disease right off the bat. It now freaking makes it so. That's why tapping into autophagy is so paramount. That's why fasting and all this trendy bullshit that you see about, oh, I got to tap and reset the body with autophagy. No, you still have the mutated cells. Just because you starved some of those, I don't know, parasites, and just because you took away some of the pathogens that are causing these, antibodies to be created and cause inflammation, doesn't mean that you actually fix the actual problem, because your biochemistry is still the same. When you fast, you still have the same programming in your body. You haven't changed shit because you haven't fixed the actual cause. You just did something like everybody does. Oh, I'm going to avoid nightshades. I'm going to avoid food. I'm going to avoid, cold weather for Raynaud's, right? Raynaud's disease. That's how people who have these autoimmune disorders like Raynaud's, they don't actually take care of the initial problem. They take drugs to manage their symptoms so they don't feel it, but they stay away from cold weather because the cold weather causes them to be really, really cold. So fasting and all of these freaking protocols out there that have you avoid things doesn't actually fix the problem. And you still have that mutation, those non-functioning pathogenic cells still in your body, that eventually the body is going to attack itself and kill it with all of those antibodies being created on a continuous basis. No different than having an AB positive blood type. When you have a continuous amount of antibodies being created, yes, eventually the body is going to then be attacked because there's still triggers. I mean, we're taking these, these vaccines, and we're assuming that that concept of taking pathogens like these crazy exotic viruses and injecting the body to create immunity is going to work for everything. No, that's why you have autoimmunity. That's why you have all of these crazy diseases, because you are, superficially energizing the immune system in the most incorrect way. And those continuous antibodies do attack the system. So yeah, that's why they're saying that, vaccines aren't really the sole cause. That's why vaccines aren't the sole cause for all of the diseases, because you have people who don't even get vaccines, they still have issues. That's why they go to naturopathics, and then they go and anesthetize their kids with elderberry syrup and detoxes and onions, which I've seen somebody force feed their kid onions on Facebook, which I said, oh my God, are you kidding me? That's so detrimental. But that's what they're doing in the holistic world. They're not getting to the root cause. They're just trying to shut down the voice of the body and create more antibodies for then the body to finally attack itself. And then what you do is you anesthetize the body so you don't feel any symptoms. So now you're just a walking dead where you can kick off at any time. And they found a way to where they can, keep the brain going and keep your, keep all your stuff going, but you're on a string of drugs to manage your lack of thyroid, to manage, other issues that you've had. And then that little bit amount of nutrition that you get because you're a vegan, pescatarian, vegetarian is keeping you somewhat alive, but you are still rapidly aging. So it makes sense. And Donald Lee, I bet, yeah, fasting for 5 days doesn't do crap. You still have the same programming in your body. So I can see why some people have, like why I've had sisters that have autoimmune disorders, because they already had malfunctions, and then lifestyle and stuff like that contribute to the mutations. The mutations never got fixed. They're, partaking in all the different cannabis stuff, whatever. Not real sisters, but sisters like, on my Facebook and whatever. And so they're shutting down the voice of their body, taking all these prescription medications. And the autoimmune disorder is still there because antibodies are continuously getting created. I can imagine, I bet you they're probably AB and positive. That's their blood type. Because when you have continuous antigen in your body, like an AB positive blood type, or mutated cells that never were corrected, and then never new cells to be able to give you a better atmosphere, right? Because when you have like a cancer, like let's say you have mold in your house, let's say you have like a dead skunk or that's like, and it's still there, and you're doing all these things to cover it up, but it's still there. You got to actually get rid of that pathogen, and you got to fix, whatever. I mean, that's probably a bad analogy. I'm trying to think of an analogy as far as when you do get rid of the pathogen, but then you got to fix the issue. And people, when you have a mutation in the structure of your body, that's still sending red flags and antibodies being created to your immune system. It's sending mixed signals. So then the immune system doesn't even know what to attack, so it attacks whatever it thinks is going wrong, and your mutations is like a pathogen. And that's why you have inflammation on a continuous basis. That's why you have neuropathy. That's why people are taking CBD or smoking pot for neuropathy, because they have so many mutations in their body, and the body's creating antibodies, which is creating inflammation, because that's what inflammation is antibodies being created because of this pathogen. So that is why we have autoimmunity. That is why we have inflammation, because antibodies are being continuously created. So I was arguing with this guy that they finally turned off that, or they kicked him out. But he was saying, oh yeah, you know, when you get like the weak bacteria and the viruses from that pathogen, it creates antibodies, you know, it creates, you know, a little bit of antibodies. And then that's how it creates immunity, so people don't die from like Ebola or something, right? Because now they're saying that there's like, 200 cases of Ebola in the Congo, and they already have kind of an Ebola vaccine already in the works. So watch out for that, you guys. That's coming down the pipeline. And you say, no, yeah, you know, antibodies, you know, the antibodies get created, and if you get exposed to it, then your body can fight it off. Oh, that's great. So you now have the Ebola virus in your body, which attacked probably your blood system or whatever, it's cardiovascular, whatever it is that is triggering the Ebola virus to happen, right? So now you have that in your body. Your bodies get, you know, now you have this mutation, right? So you sustained the hit, never corrected it. Yeah, antibodies get created, but you sustain that hit. And then that mutation creates a continuous amount of antibodies. And then over time, that's when systems start getting attacked. I mean, what is the Ebola? What does it attack? The Ebola virus. Ebola virus system or disease. Let me see. Like we were bleeding profusely. Oh, it's hemorrhage. It's hemorrhaging. It's hemorrhaging. Infected blood. That's the Ebola. Well, you can do research on the Ebola virus and what system it's attacking. And then when you get the Ebola virus vaccine, now you have the virus in your body, right? And it's going to attack that system, right? Because your body's creating antibodies, and now it's creating antibodies on a continuous basis. And then guess what? You're going to have an autoimmunity where the body is going to attack that specific system. I'm sure SARS almost killed you in 2000. I mean, if you have a very low functioning immune system, and you think you're the one that said you had Lyme disease, yeah, I mean, so this makes sense. This is why you have to get away from all of these, like Dr. Klinghardt. You got to get away from all of these trendy therapies. I mean, I just joined a group. It's an integrative medicine group. And I'm just trying to look at what exactly new things are coming down the pipeline, because this integrative medicine group, like functional medicine, is you know, all the latest and greatest crap that biotech is spinning out. So, you know, I'm watching and seeing what they're doing. Right now, the biggest thing is stem cell therapy. You're taking on somebody else's fucked up programming and putting it in your body. But then, you know, if you have a higher functioning immune system, it's just going to purge out that stem cell therapy. And then guess what? The antibodies going after that mutated, you know, organ or tissue in your body are going to get created, and that's why your disease is going to perpetuate. Antibodies are only good for things that you will rarely ever come across. Antibodies should never be created just willy-nilly as if it was like, you know, water. They are basically inducing antibodies in people on a continuous basis, and that is why you have autoimmunity. That is why people have autoimmune disorders, because those mutations were never corrected, and that mutation is poison to your body. It's a pathogen, and it creates antibodies, and then antibodies goes after everything because it doesn't know anymore what the pathogen is, because the pathogen actually is that mutated cell in your body, that mutated system, that mutated organ. People don't freaking understand that they should not be inducing antibodies on a continuous basis. Yes, someone changed their blood type. They went from A antigen or from AB antigen plus, which is the Rh factor, to only A antigen. So they got rid of the B antigen. I really want to know what specific things are in the A antigen and B antigen. I would love to know what that antigen is. But I mean, that would mean that I have to go and figure out their trade secrets, right? So they're not going to tell me that knowledge. We have to basically, you know, do our own research. That's how thinking for yourself is going to be paramount over listening to somebody else like these authorities, these medical authorities. So I figured out that's why we can't, I mean, yeah, vaccines are not good, but even if you're anti-vax, you still have that potential to get an autoimmune disorder. But really, an anti-vax person who has those mutations already in their body will then turn to anesthetizing agents. So they won't fix that mutation to stop the continuous flow of antibodies that will eventually attack them. No, they'll go take, you know, CBD oil or smoke pot or do some kind of detox, you know, do some kind of antibiotic, and they'll have to keep continuously changing their antibiotics because they're going to have antibiotic resistance. That's what this whole issue with antibiotic resistance is when you use too many negative elements against the body, when you use too many negative elements against the body will create a tolerance. And then, you know, of course, the body wants to live, and the pain sets in and the symptoms and the inflammation set in because the body is trying to heal and go after any pathogens. And then you're not giving it anything to rebuild. So then you have this continuous flow of antibodies that are going to attack you. And then Julie Joseph says, I'm AB negative and extremely healthy. Do you think, what is extremely healthy? Relative to who and what? Are you aging? Yes. If you're AB, then you have antigen in your body. You have a continuous stream of antibodies. You can't be healthy with an AB. Now, people who are O negative, who have no antibody or no antigen and don't have the Rh factor, they can still be sick. They can still have hormonal issues. You know, and eating very well doesn't make a difference if you haven't fixed the mutations. You may have those mutations at bay, but Julie Joseph, are you aging? Because you haven't figured out how to reverse the aging process. You know, and what is your level of what well is? What's your expectation? People say, oh, I'm so healthy. What does that mean? I'm so healthy. I'm very healthy relative to some people that I know who are extremely unhealthy, but I'm not healthy. Julie Joseph. Let me take a look at you. Plant-based. You're plant-based, so you are taking probably garlic and something else. You're part of that crowd. And here's the thing, Julie Joseph. How many plant-based people are living past? How many of them have died? Do you understand that there are herbalists out there who are plant-based, raw, vegan? So whatever method that you're following was created by someone who is dead. So right now, yeah, you may be holding up well with your age because you found ways to get rid of the wrinkles on your skin. All right, I'm getting you off my Facebook. Because here's the thing. You're not understanding and you're speaking way too soon and you're trying to, I don't know what you're trying to do. But yeah, and I see you're trying to friend request me. And really, people who are on my Facebook who are new should never even be talking at all. So I'll let her go get the book. But we have people who claim to be so healthy, but they probably believe in death. Okay, and when you believe in death, because she's not exactly talking about, hey, oh, just because you're not aging doesn't mean that you don't believe in death. And she's following protocols of people who have died in the system. That's what I'm saying. When people are new on my Facebook, they should shut the hell up. Because I have talked about reversing the aging process where you don't die. And the methodology that she's following, being a plant-based person, anti-vax plant-based person, they also dabble with the negative elements because there are plants that are negative. Anyone not doing Jilly Juice is not reversing the aging process. All they're doing is just like slowing it down a little bit. But mark my words, in the next 10 years, 15 years with her practices, and she's not doing Jilly Juice at all, she is going to be aging, and she hasn't fixed the mutations. Being plant-based does not fix your mutations because you already have leaky gut and you're not absorbing the nutrients. But I'm not going to debate with the new person. I don't even know who she is. She came on my Facebook and started just speaking out. So, you know, and I didn't have a lot of, wrinkles at 41 either. But this is what I deal with, is with these, plant-based, hoity-toity. Well, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, but yet these vegans and vegetarians are dying all over the freaking system. So yeah, so antigen creates antibodies. And then aging is also a disease. When you're aging, the body is attacking itself. And what is relatively healthy? That's the thing, is like, what does that mean? Right? I mean, we have such a low expectation of health because we've come like so behind the 8 ball that anything a little bit close to the 8 ball, you think that, it's like, ooh, it's great. But no, let Julie Joseph go back into the plant-based therapy world. Because, just because you don't look like you're aging at 41, oh no, honey. People live to be 90, 91, but you're aging though. Just because you don't have wrinkles doesn't mean anything. People get facials all the time. People do all these different things all the time to get rid of wrinkles so they can deceive the public and then promote their plant-based wares. And when you're AB, when you have an A and a B antigen, you are not healthy. But even O negative doesn't mean that you're healthy either. Because you've seen O negative people who are, and people say that, yeah, I have an O negative person in my world that is freaking psychotic or obese. But if you have an AB, blood type, then you're definitely not healthy because you have all the antigen floating around in your body. So first you got to get, change your blood type to like O negative, and then make sure you have the right foods and you fix the leaky gut. So that way you're not creating antibodies from the mutations because of your initial hit. You really have to induce autophagy. You really do. Autophagy is not induced properly through fasting. Okay? And so autophagy is the disassembling of the mutated cells that are causing the antibodies to be created, because mutations is a foreign object. That's why people get autoimmunity and they can't directly correlate it with the vaccines. Because you can be and I would love to know, there's no way for me to really know this unless someone actually volunteers himself to say this, but I would love to know an anti-vax person who has their kid who has a kid or themselves deal with some kind of autoimmune disorder, whether it's autism, whether it's some kind of, who knows. But then you go to a naturopathic, they're going to do all these detoxes on you, right? They're going to do all these anesthetizing agents on you. And then you'll never be able to know why it is this person got an autoimmune disorder and they're anti-vax. But then here's the thing, just because you're anti-vax doesn't mean that you didn't inherit mutations from your parents that were never resolved. And that's what it comes down to, is resolving at the cellular level those mutations that you inherited as well as what you sustained. So you're not creating antibodies for the body to then attack you, whether it's aging or whether it's some kind of actual named autoimmune disorder. And people who are aging have diseases. They may not tell you everything. They may not tell you. And it's not like something that we're going to go and ask them in their personal medical history. So yeah, so antigen, continuous antigen in your body creates antibodies. Continuous amount of antibodies means you do not tap into autophagy correctly, and that will create autoimmunity as well as aging. But I wanted to focus on the autoimmunity because that question in that anti-vaxxer, why do some people get, responses and others don't? So no matter what, it's the mutations that you sustain that are creating antibodies. Simply inducing the body to create antibodies is not a good thing. Because antibodies is inflammation. It's the body trying to heal from that continuous virus and pathogen. And that's what these vaccines are. It is a continuous amount of pathogens. So, and that does destroy. And then over time, that's why they can't directly correlate, the symptoms, because some people already been exposed to those pathogens and the antibodies are continuously being created, right? And then that's when down the road, because I had it, I have someone in my family that never got sick. We had the chicken pox. She only had one chicken pox. That was it. I was always the one that was sick. And when I got sick, it was really bad. And then I got well really, really quickly. She hardly ever got sick. And it was because her body was in that autoimmunity. It was just, her immune system was over functioning. And then down the road, triggered an autoimmune disorder. Because finally the body attacked itself because of that artificial immune system triggering, which was from most likely the vaccines. But they won't ever say it because it doesn't happen until down the road. Because potentially when you get a vaccine and you're relatively healthy, right, you can repair the damage. And some people's lifestyles does repair that damage from that initial exposure in their childhood. Other people have very crazy lifestyles until they change. And so that lifestyle compounded the issue and created more mutations to then finally trigger that autoimmunity, because the body, now doesn't have any more of those pathogens, but now the body is a pathogen. That mutation is a pathogen, which creates antibodies. And so that's when the body attacks itself. And that's when, that's why there's certain types of autoimmunities, certain types, like certain types of cancers. You may have more mutation in your neurological system than you do in your reproductive system. That's why we have all these different autoimmune disorders and why they trigger differently with everybody, and why we can't directly correlate vaccines when someone gets them to autoimmunity, because not everybody is going to have that down the road. But some people do, because their biochemistry is such to where their mutations are so bad that, that vaccine is going to put them over the edge and then potentially kill that baby. So that's the loophole, in the vaccine industry. It's all based upon your biochemistry. It's basically playing Russian roulette. So that's crazy. That's crazy. And you're going to see a lot of these people from integrative, and I've seen people that follow me that are part of the integrative medicine. What is it called? It's some kind of integrative medicine stuff, right? Where they get like a license certificate to be like a nutritionist. Integrative medicine certification programs. And we have these really cute kids, like really cute young girls, right? Yeah, nutritionist certificates. So if you want to be like a bodybuilder, or not about like, a nutritionist where you're working out and you're trying to do like protocols for people and everything. And And they're really, really cute, right? They're in their prime, they're in their youth, right? Yeah, they are, they're not eating McDonald's, they're not taking the vaccines, they're not eating crappy food, they're only eating organic, right? And yeah, they look great. And so yes, they are the perfect, cheerleader for the integrative medicine industry. And then you can't argue with what they're saying, because it does sound great. Oh yeah, I'm organic and I have an integrative medicine certificate and I'm really cute. I have long blonde hair, long brown hair, and I'm really cut and I go work out. And then, you never know what they're doing, on the side as far as maybe getting facials, but that's neither here nor there, right? And so, yeah, they're going to be a great salesman for the integrative medicine certification program, as well as integrative medicine industry. And then you watch them over time. You watch them over time. You start seeing the skin get thinner. All these yoga mamas that I see, they're like all into like yoga, and they're like, oh yeah, I had natural childbirth at home, and they're not doing Julie juice, of course, but they're doing all of their integrative medicine approaches. You're seeing them age. They look like they're in their 40s and 50s. Okay? Can you be 40 or 50 and look like you're 30? Donnelly, you need to go into my website, get my book. I'm not answering any questions such as, that type of stuff. Okay, Donnelly, get my book and then do the protocol and then go into my website and ask those kind of questions. I'm not your doctor. I'm not your doctor. You can go Google that information. So anyway, so yeah, so you're going to have these really cute, these rah-rah, ooh, I'm sis boom ba, yoginis, whatever, with all of their organic BS and the anti-vax and having kids at home and homeschool, okay? And then you have to watch them over time. You really do. And that's what I've been doing. I'm watching certain people over time, and I'm watching some of these, that are older than me. They are aging rapidly, and they are, aerobic instructors. They're trendy mamas. Yuppie / crunchy, trendy mamas. But they also believe in death as well. So ask anybody that says, oh yeah, I look so young. Do you believe in dying? Do you believe to where there is possible immortality? And if they say yes, run the other way. If somebody believes in death, then they're just playing in the system. And I didn't want to quiz Julie Joseph on whether or not she believes. I'm not playing those games. If you're new on my Facebook, you should really be quiet and listen to my information and get my book if you're new. And if you're old on my Facebook, then you should still get my book that's been published. Read it. And if you think that me saying that there is, a possibility for immortality and you don't believe it because it goes against your religion, then go the other way. You don't need to do this protocol. But the body can self-regenerate under the proper conditions. But we got to stop inducing all of these antibodies by completely polluting people's bodies, because it does cause mutations, and then those mutations then cause more antibodies to be created, and that's where autoimmunity comes into play. It makes perfect freaking sense. And then your history and your biochemistry and the programming of your body will have certain parts of your body be more mutated than other parts. And that's why you see such a diverse, diseased population. That's why some people have lupus, because that system is mutated, causing antibodies to be created, and eventually attacks itself, and then the body gets attacked. And that's why you have diabetes in the population, because the body's attacking the body because it's so freaking mutated. Like, you are the pathogen. That's why antibodies get created, because you are the freaking pathogen. Your mutations, because you do not induce autophagy and purge out those disassembled cells to regenerate new ones, you are a walking pathogen, and your body is attacking you. That's why disease happens. That makes freaking sense. Because when I'm looking at these cancer therapies and these cancer vaccines, and they're taking people's own blood. with the pathogen, their own DNA, and they're injecting it. Oh my God, I could see all kind of wrong with that. But that's so different than someone having, a mutation in their body, major pathogen that's just sitting there signaling the body there's something wrong, and the body then it makes these antibodies and goes after that pathogen. But that pathogen is your mutated cell. You are essentially infecting your own body by not inducing autophagy and feeding your body nutrients. You taking CBD oil and all of your detoxes and all of your little, homeopathic, allopathic practices is only compounding the issue. And then they're capitalizing on basically shutting down that voice. So you never know where you are until you die, or until the pain is so intense that nothing works. You've basically gone through all of the all of the antibiotics. But now they're thinking of new ones. Look at the whole thing with iridium, right? They're saying, oh yeah, from this meteorite, there's this heavy metal that's going to go after cancer cells. Well, go look at the periodic tables. There's so many heavy metal elements on the periodic tables. All they got to do is go find, okay, we'll use mercury today. We'll use iridium tomorrow. We'll use, what else? Radiation the next day. We'll use arsenic the next day. I mean, they have a menu of pathogens that are antibiotic that will shut down the voice of your body so you don't know where the hell you are. And then you will die relative to how close you are to death. So mark my words, just look at the periodic tables, and that's what they're going to be using every single time that the population gets, has a resistance to whatever's on the market. Right now, maybe there's one strain on the market that people are getting resisted to, the resistance to as far as cannabis, and they'll create new strains. Every new strain, upsets homeostasis, shuts down the voice of your body until it doesn't work anymore and you're still in pain, even though you're smoking or taking that CBD oil. Then you got to change. And go look at these, marijuana clinics. They have so many different types. And since I don't smoke marijuana, I don't know all the types. I know like Maui Wowie and Mexican dirtweed. That's about it. But they have so many different types. You just go there and you'll see, pineapple express or something else. It's insane. So that's why I don't see people on Jilly Juice dying. Right, Moonwheelie? So, yeah, witchcraft, that's right. I don't see people on dying, because if you are tapping into your immune system correctly with the right elements, and you're purging out the disassembled cells so it's not creating antibodies for then the body to attack itself and kill it, and then you're, regenerating the new cells, a train falling from the sky on your house. I mean, it would be freak accidents would be the reason why people would die. Right now, they're giving all of us enough, notice that what they're doing, like over their Paradise fires to the tornadoes, maybe even earthquakes they can predict, right? So they're giving you plenty of notice, and you can either fight it and then die along with it, or you get the hell out of California, because that air quality, oh my God, that air quality is insane. All those little particles are going to get lodged into these people's lungs that are already messed up. You're going to see the decimation of that population. The norovirus is already all over the place. Pandemics, droughts, earthquakes, fires. Get the hell out of California. This should be a red flag for anybody in California. But mutated people will sit there and fight, say, oh, I don't believe what they're doing. I'm going to sit here and fight as their body, is depleting because of all these pathogens that are causing mutations and then creating antibodies, and those antibodies are then attacking the body, and then you die. Get the fuck out of California, people. And if not, hey, then you can't complain when you have all these issues. I'm here in Ohio. Yeah, I live next to an oil refinery, but guess what? It's fine. Yeah, pathogens stick to snow, but guess what? I'm drinking my Jilly Juice. There really isn't any drought over here. We don't get a lot of fires. We don't get pandemics, and if we do, I'm not a part of it. My body can repair. It'll be introduced to a new pathogen. I might sustain the hit, then I'll repair it. But I'm not going to overtax my system and live in California where you have to deal with a continuous stream of pathogens, like a continuous stream of antibodies in your body when you have mutated cells. That's why people have issues, because they do not correct and take care and get rid of those mutations that are causing the continuous development and the continuous creation of those antibodies. Autoimmunity is when you're not fixing those mutations and the body attacks itself, because then you are essentially that foreign object. Those mutated cells are. Wow. It's insane. So yeah, I have been just releasing people off my Facebook. These empaths, you know, oh, I'm an empath, and you know, and they're practicing witchcraft. They are. They're taking all these herbs and all these things. I mean, I'm not trying to go like satanic occultic, but there's a direct correlation to these empaths and then all of this, this hocus pocus BS of shutting down people's immune systems, or, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm over all that. Either you want to live or you want to die. There's no two ways about it. It's very black and white. You fix your body the right way, or don't even bother. Simply avoiding things is not the answer. When you avoid the big elephant in the room, the pink elephant or the big elephant in the room, guess what? It festers and becomes worse. Avoidance is not the answer. And that is what the allopathic and the holistic community is doing. They are practicing avoidance. And then you're seeing people expire very quickly because they're avoiding dealing with the actual issue. Just watch people around you, guys. Get my book, read it, send me your receipt. We'll give you a login and password, and then we will answer all of your questions. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. JillyJuice.com, JILYJUICE.com.